Morning.
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 How are we doing?
Sitting on a.
Can you say again, Scott? I couldn't hear you.
I said I'm sitting on an airplane right now, getting ready to take off.
Oh, where you headed?
Got to go visit the family over the next couple of days in Hawaii and head back.
Ah,
It's like a 72-hour trip.
well, at least it's Hawaii, so, you know.
Yeah.
Where are you flying from, Scott?
Oakland.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're in my neck of the woods.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn my audio off because the plane's taking off in 10 minutes and we're just going to start chatting here.
Cool, man. Cool. Thanks for joining. Well, good morning, Liana, Craig, Judy, Derek, Bobby.
Good morning.
Got a good crew going on here. So who else wants to come on? Derek, you around?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Still waiting for that Copy Pro logo to go in the back of that screen, you know. Really wanted to see that. So I'm kind of hankering for that. You can do it. You can do it. So, Bobby, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. You?
Good.
Yeah. A lot of deep breaths here from people. The homework assignment was hard. Is that what I'm hearing?
I had
I
to
liked it.
scrap for time to do it.
I'm sorry, what?
I had to just push hard as anything just to find the time to do it.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough, but yeah, once you get through it, you're done. So you'll have a whole lot of stuff to pull from for years to come.
I feel like I'm gonna have to go back through it anyway. It's like once I'm done, I'll just delete all my niches, start again.
It's a good idea to do that. I mean, we've done that for training purposes. You know, it's just it forces you to think, and there's no way around it. It's a pain in the ass, but there's no other way around it. I mean, there's it's like somebody, you know, there's the ways around it are a good 3 years off, and we're building those ways around it. But until AI catches up, until our team implements all that AI can do, there's no way around it. But
I've got a product I'm going to use it for.
Yeah. Well, you know, bear in mind, there will probably be a pill that somebody can take one day that will instantly change their body chemistry to where they're lean and fit, and everyone looks like, you know, the cover model on you know, turns back your age 15 years. Until that's there, exercise is a pain in the ass, but it's there and it works, and you have to do it. You know, it's the same way here. You know, so we're getting there.
So, John,
Yes.
you were talking about energy. I think you might have mentioned something that you used to keep your energy up last time.
Can you say again, Judy? I used to what?
Things that keep your energy up.
No, my energy is high all the time. So I you know, I live on a low carb diet, and my body just, you know, pretty much, well, I say I live on it. I live on it 5 days a week. My body's just trained to run on fat. And what the things that keep my energy high, you know, I did not want to go to the gym yesterday. I mean, and I've done this 28 years. I mean, you know, competitively for years. And so, I mean, I know me going to the gym is not, it's not like I'm going to go catch a workout. It's like, no, I'm going to go. I know I'm not going to be able to sleep as well because I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night with everything hurting. And I know I'm going to feel dizzy afterwards. I'm going to feel, you know, it's an intense thing. But I also know the payoff of it is metabolism's boosted for 4 or 5 days. So I feel better. The other thing is, for me at least, is I used to not drink enough water, and I still hate water just by itself. So I used to hate sparkling water. So I was like, and that was even worse. So I'm like, so one day in Canada, I saw a bottle, and it was kind of weird how tactile we are, right? I saw a bottle of Perrier that was made out of glass, and this is not, because they were out. So I had to get plastic, but I usually drink these big bottles of glass. And for whatever reason, it's going to sound really stupid, the glass made it look better. The dark colored green glass made it look appealing. I thought, maybe that's weird, but I'm going to try it. And after 2 bottles of it, I'm like, I'm drinking probably 4 or 5 bottles of those a day.
Wow.
So, you know, and the interesting thing is that I really enjoy red wine. So if I drink a couple glasses of red wine at night, I drink at least a whole liter of that. So, I mean, obviously I don't drink to where I get drunk, but even if I drink a little bit too much, I'm a little where I'm not quite as focused as I normally am, a little tipsy or whatever. After drinking all the water, you're nothing. It just completely washes out your system. So it's kind of interesting. That's my secret for energy. Water.
I thought you said you drink a liter of wine.
No, not an alcoholic. So that would be a lot. Yeah. God, who was it that said? I was watching because I have freaked out once before. Once before, I have drank a bottle of wine by myself. I mean, as in I was with another person, but I was by my lonesome. I drank a bottle of wine, and I was just sick. I mean, not sick like throwing up sick or anything like that, but I just felt terrible, and I felt obviously it was crazy. And the difference between 3 glasses of wine and a bottle is like an infinity for me. So I never do that, right? And then I was watching some documentary on some rock band. I forget which one it was, but the guy was talking about, he goes, yeah, I switched my hard alcohol for red wine, and that was great until I realized that 8 bottles a day probably wasn't right. 8 bottles a day? I'm like, how do you do that? I mean, I'm a big guy. I could not possibly drink. I couldn't even come close to drink. I mean,
I'd be dead.
I'd be dead too. And I can't drink during the day. I mean, like I've tried to do Napa trips before, and it's like, it feels really weird having a glass of wine at lunch. So I guess I don't have whatever gene that is, because I do believe there's genetic factors that play into a lot of addictions. But so here's a curious conversation. Now, if anyone doesn't want to share personal stuff, I totally get it. But is there anything that well, you can share it also if you want to. Totally cool. Is there anything that you've ever been addicted to that you don't mind sharing, that you've overcome
Sugar.
it, still wrestle with it?
Sugar.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sugar's a big one.
Diet Coke.
Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, years ago. Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. Oh God, that's a big one for me. That's a big one for me today, right now, in 2019. Diet Dr. Pepper specifically. Yeah, I know. So everybody. So here's what's interesting: is my diet makes all of yours look Spartan. I can almost guarantee you. I mean, it's like I have a chef that fixes food, and it's extremely ketogenic, and it's all, you know, grass-fed, organic, and I've got the luxury of being able to do that. It's part of what I do for, you know, my fitness job. So, so I have like no sugar at all during the week. I'll have one sugar thing on the weekends. But when I tell people I drink Diet Dr. Pepper, they freak out. It's like, there's a lot worse things than diet soda, sugar being one of them, in my opinion. But it's still not good. I'm not defending it as being good. But it's like, I find that I need a vice. I've always needed something, even, you know, especially if you're being really Spartan. When I say Spartan, it's like I love what I eat, but I mean, you're restrictive. You're not eating anything you want. You know, I can't tonight go eat Thai food, for example. The average person can go, hey, let's go eat Thai food. I can't do it. I can go eat it tomorrow during a certain window. So you live like that for 15 years. You look for stuff, you know, you look for, you know, things that you can do. And diet soda was one of those things. Doesn't mess with my insulin levels. Haven't noticed any ill effects from it. So I'm sure there are, but I haven't noticed them yet. So I run tons of tests.
I used to go to 7-Eleven, and I mean, you can buy these things. They're called tanks.
Tanks?
Tanks, yeah, they're tanks. They're like 64 ounces, right?
Mm.
And you can get them refilled. You buy the tank from 7-Eleven, and you can just go back and get these things refilled for a lot cheaper.
Oh, right.
And I used to do those all the time.
Yeah. Well, if you've broken it, that's incredible. I've broken it for a while. Like I've got off of diet soda for about 8 or 9 months once, and I just didn't notice a difference. I'm like, nothing changed, and I'm like, why am I torturing myself? And so there could be something. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know this. Gosh, I know the studies, and I know how flimsy they are too. But I also know the science behind it doesn't stimulate the things that I'm the most concerned about, which is insulinogenic response and things. But it is an addiction. There's no way around. I mean, an addiction, not like if I don't have it, I start shaking or something. But addiction, like I feel like I have to get, you know, I need something to get through that's the definition of an addiction. It's an unhealthy.
Totally.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, like I say, I drank massive amounts of it. I drank more than anybody else I knew. I mean, there are people out there who that is kind of was one of the things that they remembered about me.
Well, it's the same way with me, Judy. It's like there are people that know me really well, and the very first thing they talk about when they talk about me is like, "Can you believe he drinks diet?" So it's like that's the first thing that comes to your mind. It's like, really? It's like, granted, I'll drink 6 a day sometimes, but so it's still kind of weird. It's like both I've been married twice. Both my wives just couldn't fucking stand it. They were like, I'm like, and they're, one of them was literally, I didn't know this when I got married, was an alcoholic. And the other one was like, could just completely addicted to sugar. I'm like, and she could get by with it. I mean, 'cause she was, my second one was just one of those genetic wonderkins, like, oh, great. You pop out of she literally popped out of the womb with fantastic genetics, which is one of my success myths. The myths of success that you have to pop out of the womb with there you go, boom. She like, I mean, yeah, it's great. I envy people like that. I really do, but not in a like, I that's one of the few things I envy. Envy's like so low on my list. I'm so happy for friends of mine that are rich or they're married to beautiful, wonderful, happy marriages. And, I'm envious in the best way possible. Like, I'm so happy for them. Like it's more like a, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like, there's a word that people use for it. I'm going to quiz you guys to see it's copyright, if you know what word it is. That you actually get pleasure off somebody else's pleasure. Anyone know what that word is?
Oh, vicarious.
That's no, but it is, living vicariously is like more like sort of. Yeah. There's an actual word called compersion.
Oh, wait.
Compersion.
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 How do you
If I
spell
teach
that?
Judy words, I know I'm doing really good today.
Yeah.
I mean, because Judy's a walking encyclopedia of words. But yeah, compersionistic. I'm very compersionistic. It's which makes it kind of interesting for friendships and relationships and stuff. But the one thing I am the envy that I do have, like I get a little envy about is, man, I'm so envious of people that don't have medical issues, that haven't had the stuff I've been through, and don't have to watch everything, and so when people get on me for that, I go, dude, just trade places for me for a week, and then get on my case. The whole walk a mile in my Mossegans kind of thing. Dude, spend a week in my body and let's see how well you do, because it's not easy. But there are other people that got it so much worse. I mean, you keep going. I'm not trying to be relativistic, but like my friend Sean Stevenson. Geez, how many guys know Sean Stevenson? I know I'm jumping topics like crazy today, but you guys just bear with me. And this is
How
on
do you spell
Perrier.
that word, by the way?
I'm sorry?
How do you spell that word?
Compersion, Compersion, I believe.
Compersion.
Yeah. Sean Stevenson, anyone know Sean? Little Sean?
The little guy?
Yeah, little guy.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, he's like my.
John, how do you spell the first name?
Sean, Sean. So please make it write this down as homework. Go to YouTube and look up TED Talk Sean Stevenson, and your day will instantly get better, no matter how bad it is. And understand that I met him. Sean and I have been friends for almost 15 years now. I met him. I met him in Malibu when I was living in Malibu, and he was speaking at this event down the street, and I was a fan of his because he speaks at the White House. He spoke with Tony Robbins. He's a great speaker. He's got his PhD in hypnotherapy. He's just an interesting cat, psychology, and it's just if you hear how this guy talks and how he actually shows up, it would just freak you out. I mean, you're like, no, yeah, it's totally true. It's so funny. So Sean and I've been super tight since that first meeting, but when he rolls in my house and he's like going on and on about it, he just doesn't get enough. My wife doesn't satisfy me. I hear his voice in my head. It's just so funny. It's like he breaks every paradigm that you may have toward what it's like to be that way. But I've also been with him during times where he's broken 18 bones and just because he twisted the wrong way and or fell off of his wheelchair. And to see someone suffer like that, it puts your life into perspective. But he's funny, intelligent, really worth the look. His TED Talk has got millions of views for a good reason. I believe he's.
I'm surprised I do. I am such a big fan of TED Talk and hypnotists. I am so surprised I don't know this guy.
Oh yeah, you'll love Sean. He's awesome. So check that out. I promise it will put a smile on your face. He's funny. He's irreverent. He is so politically incorrect. It's great. And no one fucks with him for it. Because he's like a dwarf in a wheelchair and it's all broken. And it's like, but he's like not. He's totally not. He's a complete alpha male. He is as alpha as anyone else. And it's great to see him shine in his moments. So go check him out. It's very funny. He says the most inappropriate things. But also he's super, super gets right to your point, man. He's really good at going through troubles and ironically addictions. Anyone else want to share an addiction? I got 3. Now you know one of them.
I have no addictions I know of.
Ah, lucky person. You have any vices?
Nope.
Okay, you're gonna have to. You know what Mark Twain said about vices.
Nope.
Never trust a man without at least 3 vices. So I don't know.
Trying to think like.
Gotta earn your keep, man. No, that's cool. How about you, Brennan?
Oh my goodness. Well, oh man, how intimate are we going here? Also,
Only
are you burning incense, Derek? Is that what that is? I just popped over and there's like smoke coming.
Yeah, it's essential oil diffuser.
Oh,
I just looked over.
are you on fire? I'm just curious. Yeah, things burning.
Okay, so basically most people that hang out with me regularly know this. I'm a pretty big comic book geek. So my brother and I actually have like matching Batman tattoos.
No way, really? Okay.
Well, so it's a little Batman and Robin, and probably my biggest, the thing I'm most embarrassed of is I'm actually a pretty big anime fan from like a young age.
What's wrong with MMA? I mean,
No, not MMA. I
Anime.
wish I liked MMA. That would be way cooler. That's why I'm saying.
What did you say then?
Anime? It's
Anime. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot different.
Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah, it's a
Way
little
different.
different.
Yeah, MMA is awesome, and I wish I liked it, but I'm not really super keen on watching people beat each other up in real life.
You know what?
It seems to be,
I'm super.
isn't some of that
Yeah,
anime though? Doesn't it have some of that MMA feel to
Oh,
it?
it does. That's why. That's even more. I just laid it all out for you guys. So that was deepest, darkest. Like you now know my biggest shame.
Oh my God! If that's your biggest shame, man, I think you're just you're
Really?
headed for pearly gates. I'm like, my biggest shame is I like cartoons. So anime I get is there's a whole thing around anime and it's a lot different than cartoons. So that's as much as I know about it, probably as much as you might know about MMA, but so that's good. We can exchange knowledge because they sound similar, but
They do.
phonically they are similar things.
They are.
But the big eyes and stuff. But yeah, I'm a cartoon freak, so I can understand it from like my favorite shows, except for like it used to be Game of Thrones until they went off the deep end of the writers pool. But like first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, or the more of the darker, richer storytelling kind of stuff. But I just skip from that right to South Park. I mean, so I could watch South Park for 8 hours straight. So it's like anything that's got the clever, the wit, the acerbic wit, anime. I don't know if it does or not, but yeah, that's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think so. And yes, as far as MMA goes, it can be a little bit on the violent side. I still got my elbows are still quite scarred. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
I mean, I'm super impressed, but I didn't run in the circles, and so most of the people that I knew in college that were really into it were like the most unathletic people. So there was like one guy that did jujitsu, and I loved chatting with him about it, but everyone else was kind of like not in the best shape, living vicariously through these macho men in the
Yeah.
ring.
Yeah. Well, MMA and there's a lot of guys that when I was training in a gym in Dallas, when at the gym lines, and that was the most famous gym for starting the whole
Mhm.
UFC thing. This is where some of the great Kim Shamrock was training there, and a lot of guys that competed in UFCs 1, 2, and 3, and just super. I mean, I knew them as being these genetic freaks. First of all, I mean, just completely insanely genetically talented, but also not so much Ken, but other guys are super nice guys, very, very like honorable. In fact, the guy I just got about 6 or 7 years ago, got a big story came out on him because he pulled over in Whole Foods in Dallas, and he saw a woman getting beat up, and he got out. And this look,
Oh my goodness!
I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh no, God! I mean, can you imagine this guy? How bad his luck would be to have, former UFC
Mhm.
middleweight champ coming at you, and also the guy with his degree of talent. He also fought in Pancrase, which is like much more. Yeah, it's just as brutal as you can get, right? And he's the nicest guy. So he's like, hey, let's just stop it. And the guy, comes at him and goes, hey, dude, do you know who I am? He's like, dude, I don't want to hurt you. And it turns out the guy was on PCP, and he had to, like, by the time the cops got there, the guy pulled a knife on him and cut his thumb halfway off because he didn't see the knife until it was too late, and he cut his thumb, and it's like he just had to keep putting him down and down and down. And when somebody's on PCP, they can just, if they're like a zombie. And so it was terrible, but he saved this woman. This woman would have surely gotten killed. This guy was insane. They're really cool people, but on a pro level, there's a few screw looses. You have to have a little bit of a screw loose to do that to walk into a cage and fight somebody. Yeah, it's hard. I never did the cage thing, but yeah, it's really, really interesting. But as far as addictions go, I wouldn't count MMA or anime. Would I count MMA? Probably not. Yeah, interesting. I think vices make people interesting. I've never understood the concept of, like, hearing someone say, I really love my husband or wife or fill in the blank, but they snore or whatever. I mean, I'm using something very pretty tame, right? Yeah, I mean, I get the snoring is really obnoxious, right? But what if they do something where it's something that's idiosyncratic to them that's really kind of adorable? Can you look at it that way? that that part of them, and hardly anyone else knows that. Kind of like the scene from Good Will Hunting where Robin Williams is talking about his wife. But yeah, I as if we are perfect, as if any one of us. It just that's where it makes my brain go, I don't get it. It's like, there are definitely some, like, I can't live with, right? Everyone's got those, like, like my friend's like, look, I don't care. You could be Mother Teresa, but if you smoke, I'll never talk to you. Like, because she's definitely allergic to cigarettes, right? Not that she judges Mother Teresa morally for smoking, but yeah, but I get that. But it's like, oh, they do this, well, you do something else. So that hints back to the diet soda conversation. It's like, yeah, I've never understood that. I've never got that. Like, I would never say to somebody, oh my God, you eat that? Like a moral judgment on something. I mean, I guess unless it's baby brains or something, or, something that would be inherently immoral. But yeah, so I make fun of vegans. I do that all the time, and I do in a fun way. I mean, it's like, I can really appreciate where their heart's coming from, if not their the other stuff.
Brains.
Yeah, well, so sometimes some people do well on vegan diets. I mean, when I was a clinical nutritionist, I found a couple of people that did really well. A lot of people when I worked with them, they were not well. They were not. A lot of markers were off, and when I tried it for 6 months, my markers went to hell in basket. So everybody's different, but I love animals, so I totally get the idea there. I don't get the moral, I guess if you really did believe that, you know, you're committing murder of a sentient creature, which I can understand that argument, and you're doing it for no other reason than your own pleasure, then I guess if that was your argument, then that would make a little more sense. But even then, it's like, you know, you're killing millions of insects every year by harvesting crops. So defend that.
And environmental reasons too.
What's wrong with insects, man?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm a vegan," and they're healthy and happy, man, I'm all for it, man. Let's go to your favorite vegan hang, and I'll hang out with you, and I'll just bring some eggs. But no, sir. Why? If we were more like that, maybe the world would be a little better.
It would.
Yeah.
We were a little more accepting, or
if someone came into me and it's like, "Oh, I have good friends of mine I live in California," so you just imagine how many vegans I know.
Oh yeah.
And I've only met one asshole vegan here in my friend circle. I've met many asshole vegans on the tour of talking nutrition, but only, and they're super sweet. I'm like, I'm totally happy for you. And they'll ask to cook me dinner. I go, I can't, because it would make me sick. I mean, I literally the glucose levels would go, you know, but I totally get and love the fact that that makes you happy. And you know, I totally get that. So kind of celebrating our differences, and they're the same way. Most people have never heard of anyone that actually needs to eat like a certain amount of animal protein, because they think that there's no need for it, but actually, yeah, there is. There's lots of stuff.
Well,
but yeah, some of us are weird. Some of us have to eat differently. So we got the subject of addiction.
So have specific like repulsion to vegetables. I went to a burger.
Really?
joint. Well, I went to a burger joint the other day. This is like a quite a typical thing, actually. And they make really good hamburgers. Also really good dirty, like Cajun style chicken sandwiches, like really good.
Oh yeah.
But I thought I'd try one of their veggie burgers, and it was delicious. It was really fucking good.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, why would you get a veggie burger when you can get meat? It's like, I don't know, I'll try something different. Like, I like vegetables.
Yeah.
But people can't deal with the fact that you'd ever put something vegetarian in your mouth if there's a meat option.
I don't understand that either. I if it tastes better to you and it doesn't make you ill, you know, and you can do that without, you know, everybody's got their own thing, and you have to figure that out. But you know, let's face it, the world's not healthy, right? The world as a whole. Well, let's say the world. Let's talk about the United States. I know that I'm eliminating you two from the conversation for a moment, but I could say the Western world. I don't know much about. I've got lots of friends that live in Israel, and I'd love to hear more from Davi about this. But I've never talked to them ironically, about nutrition. I've never. I mean, I know what some of them eat for religious reasons, but I've never talked to them about what's the health of the people walking the streets. I don't know. But in Australia, I know. In the United States, it's abysmal. You know, it's
here people are very fit, very
really?
fit.
In Israel.
Oh yeah,
really? Huh. So
I'm not sure what the obesity rate is, but it's low.
Huh. Wow. Well, here, I mean, obviously, it's just going up and up and up and up. So there's obviously there's some clear problems with eating lots of fast food and lots of bad food and stuff like that. And Daniela, we got to get you in this conversation simply because I know that you are in this industry as well as I am. So
I'm here waiting.
You can jump in anytime.
Yeah, ask away. Now,
you got to share a vice or an addiction first.
I used to smoke. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you used to smoke. See? Well, you know what? Everyone in Italy and France smokes.
That's right. Yeah, a lot.
It's like
so bad.
It's literally a birthright. So is it because of the way you grew up in Italy?
Maybe, I don't know. It was like very common. So I'm frequent having friends smoking. So it was kind of, you know, the path that you take as a stupid teenager that have no brain and such. But then I just quit. I decided that it wasn't for me. I threw away. I bought a pack of cigarettes and then I threw it away, and that was it. Like about 9 years now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
9 years, you say?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, good for you.
I did that with weed and alcohol, basically.
Did you? Wow.
Well, I never really quit per se. I just stopped, and it's been maybe 13 years since I smoked weed, and I rarely drink alcohol. Like maybe for my sister's wedding or, you know, a really major occasion.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I wish I could smoke weed. I'm here's yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm in a place where this is like everyone smokes. I mean, it's like it's just
Hmm.
it's California, you know. And no one's like it's they're all super intelligent. There's none of the stereotypes that you think that weed does. It doesn't do to anyone I know. But I can't do it. I have panic disorder, so I found out the
Oh,
hard way.
wow, yeah.
The moment, and I don't care what kind it is, it doesn't matter. It's like the moment that does, my heart just goes right through the roof. And of all things for me to have panic disorder, I think God is for a guy that grew up doing all kinds of things that would put people in panic on purpose and had never had an issue, and then have panic disorder. It's like, geez. But yeah, it just I wish I could, because oh my God, it'd be so much. There's no calories, right? You get you supposedly you get like a really smooth out thing going on. And the 2 times I've done it, both times ended up with a panic attack. Until the panic attack happened, I was playing music, and it was like, oh, now I get it. I didn't know why so many musicians smoke weed, right? And I was like, I was playing stuff. I'm like, what the hell am I? I could see the instrument in different ways. And so I get it from like people using it for performance enhancement and that's why it's banned in the UFC. Speaking of UFC, by the way, it's banned in the UFC because it's an enhancer. It's not, if it slowed you down, which it does for some people, but it really makes your senses attenuated. But I'll take CBD oil, which I was really scared to do that at first, but no, it doesn't do anything to me. But yeah, but I don't have that experience. I'll never be a druggie. Hey, Oscar, how you doing? I'm seeing people come on. Hey, Craig, I just noticed you're in here.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's funny. I can relate to some of the addictions. Mine are trying to think of something that truly set me back, because I smoked cigarettes when I lived in Europe when I was 9 or 10.
See?
But I didn't inhale, so there was that. But in high school I did, and I smoked till about 20, and then one day I just quit because ironically I drank most of a fifth of Jack Daniels with some friends. Oof. And the next day I concluded that I needed to quit smoking, which was
interesting.
It was a developmental decision. But it's the same thing with alcohol. I mean, I have had bad judgment like that, but I'm not addicted to it. I don't particularly like it, and I don't really drink anymore. When I've gotten addicted, it's been to distraction, like certain TV shows. Like I went through a real phase with 24 and Dexter were 2.
Yeah.
Dexter's great.
And this was back in the Blockbuster days. So I would go there and I would be like, you're missing the next disc, you bastards, you know? And so,
I can understand it. I've never saw 24. I've never watched a single episode, but I love Dexter. So that's,
well, I watched 24 season 1 through, 9, twice, all of it. So I stay away from that now because it's clearly a gateway drug.
Gateway drug. Yeah. I thought Dexter was so brilliant, man. So cool TV. But yeah, I get it. So anyone else have issues with television? Ever?
Yeah, sometimes I can go on these marathons also.
Yeah, me too.
But the difference between like, okay, so we're going to binge watch, like I just binge watched Cobra Kai, right? Because I was so burnt out on doing copy pro stuff. I mean, I burnt out on doing stuff not the stuff you guys are doing, stuff that seriously, you think what you're doing is bad. You should please take our place and do it in the really clunky code version of this. Like copy pro 2 is so much better. But Leanne and I, it's like, it can be really mind numbing to do this stuff. It's really hard. And so I just wanted, and plus for a lot of other work, and just need to take a break. And then I saw Cobra Kai came out, right? Cobra Kai is the most guilty pleasure, fun, witty, weird, talented. That's why it's got so many rave reviews, because so many people find all these little weird things about it. And it's I thought it was going to suck. I mean, I didn't ever like the Karate Kid. I don't like karate movies because they're usually bullshit. But and Karate Kid, of course, was completely bullshit. But you know, it was a cultural phenomenon, and I saw it came out, and I saw all the rave reviews about it. like, what the hell are they watching? And I watched the first one. I went, oh my God, this is brilliant. This is really under the radar, making fun of politically correct culture, but also giving nods to the 80s, but making fun of themselves at the same time. All this stuff was wrapped up in the dialogue. Super politically correct cast, and then went around and completely obliterated all of them. You know, like just really all of them were not what you thought they were going to be. So it was just great television. And I ended up binge watching that, like just more in the background. I should go back and watch it because I didn't watch enough of it visually. But yeah, that's I don't think that's a big thing unless you're binge watching stuff all the time. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I think it's good to binge watch a couple of things. So. Okay, what's the last thing anyone else binge watched? This is a good one. Oscar, you want to share?
Billions.
Oh, me too. So
Yeah.
good.
Oh.
What was it?
Billions.
Billions.
I demolished that show in like 2 weeks
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
while I was working.
Is it good?
So
I
good.
really liked it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's with the dude that was in the first season of the show with that chick about terrorism.
Yeah. Homeland.
Yeah, Homeland. Homeland. Yeah. Homeland was great. Man,
I couldn't deal with Carrie she drove me away.
You know what? I could deal with Carrie. Yeah, I could kind of deal with her on a lot of different levels. So yeah. I gotta admit, little crush on Claire Danes. I'm a Shakespeare freak, so she did Romeo and Juliet, and yeah, fell in love with her then, fell in love with her there. So
I think her portrayal was excellent.
yeah.
So my wife is a counselor, so I get plenty of debriefing just every single day of the week. So sometimes when I watch TV, I'm like, I want to not experience my real life.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I get that. It's like some people need the, do anyone watch anyone a fan of music, like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Anyone see that? Any other musicians in the crowd? Okay. Derek, did you was that a hand raise?
I'm a musician. I got a degree in music, but I don't know the thing that you're talking about.
I have 2 degrees in music. What's your degrees in? So.
Music composition. Well, I got a certificate from guitar at Atlanta Institute of Music, and then I got a bachelor's in music composition from Belmont in Nashville.
Oh, isn't in Atlanta school is that where Jeff Berlin is teaching now?
I don't know.
Yeah, I studied with Jeff at BIT in Hollywood. They met MIT when they first opened. So
I know there's a few teachers that came from MIT to teach in Atlanta back when I went. This was like 2004, 2005.
Yeah, I think Jeff went there in 2010. So yeah, cool. Well, so Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I never watched I never watched it. The only reason I watched it is I love Nine Inch Nails, and Trent Reznor did a beautiful introduction for The Cure. So I don't know if anyone is a Cure fan or not, but I never was a huge Cure fan. But man, oh man, it's like where I don't know where I was going. That was a tangential. That was not as meant to be as tangential as it ended up being. But Trent Reznor, Cure, something about there was something wrapped around in their addiction. I just lost my choo-choo train of thought. It went out.
Anybody a music fan, you've said first.
Anyway, music fan, right? And I can't remember why I said that. So yeah. Yeah, movement here. So I will remember, but I will remember. It could be all that Alzheimer's coming in. So I'm kidding. There's no Alzheimer's. All right, so I will remember that. Gotta where was my brain going with that one? It's like when you write copy, and you start off on an idea, and then you're like 3 paragraphs down the page, you're like, what the hell was I trying to say again? If that's ever happened to anyone.
Always
Never happens.
Never.
Never happens during the rest of my life either.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hate that because I'm like, I've done this before in webinars and I can't go back. There's like, I'm like, just screw it, man. Move on. You're done. So music, this wasn't the point, but music can certainly be an addiction for me. It was kind of a good addiction, playing hours a day, or listening to music, for hours. So that's kind of cool, but that's a good one.
John, what sort of things did you do that what's the word you used? would make people panic?
Well, fighting for one. You know, I don't know if it hurts to get punched in the face. I know it's kind of weird to have your jaw dislocated or have someone sidekick you in the head. Those things hurt, you know, and it's like, it's kind of scary to fight somebody. It always scared me. And I always felt like, I always felt kind of like a coward until I heard George St. Pierre, who was my favorite MMA fighter, say the same thing. He goes, I'm terrified every time I walk into the octagon, and he's fighting at a level that's way above where I was at. But yeah, it hurts, and it's scary because you could always get really hurt, right? You can get concussed and all that stuff. But I was a dive master, so diving into shipwrecks and caves at night, and I would teach people night diving in a lake. I mean, stuff that would cause most people
So
just to
much
go to
fun.
sheer levels of panic, right? And so, you know, skydiving, base jumping. I mean, you know, you kind of name. I raced for Porsche for a while, so I raced on autocross tracks. I raced for Team Yamaha when I was 16, motocross, flying my bikes 40 feet in the air. I mean, you know, this is just kind of stuff that I did, you know, like and yeah.
I love that type of thing.
I do too. I still love it. I don't do it as much, but if I see a dirt bike, I'm getting on that fucker. I'm going on, you know. So yeah.
Have you ever heard of Sistema?
Sistema, no.
It's a Russian martial art, and it's military is used by Spetsnaz, or like the high level bodyguards of Stalin and Lenin, those types of people. And the style is it's all about relaxation. It's hard to explain. You have to experience it, but they do all the training bare knuckle and, well, usually at training speed, but not like slow training speed.
Right.
I used to do it, and I don't know, getting hit in the face was something I enjoyed. It was like you learn to take the strikes in a very relaxed way, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It just glides off. To actually, extent that I've only been in a street fight once since I did that, and I haven't practiced for over 10 years, but I only got in a street fight once since I started doing it. My friends were on ecstasy. I was the only sober one. They decided it was a good idea to go over to these really beautiful women on the street and ask them where the closest strip club is. And
well, you're on ecstasy, so yeah, of course.
The guys that they were with, these huge guys, came over and decided to fight over it. And I was just kind of there, and I took the first punch to the face, and I didn't actually feel it. It was like I just naturally let it go off of me, and I didn't feel it. And I mean, that was a street fight. I mean, we used to take full strikes to the solar plexus and everywhere, and you don't feel it. It goes away.
You know, we've had and I don't doubt you're that experience. Growing up in that whole realm of things, and you can hear like guys like Rogan and other guys that talk MMA a lot. The reason why that you don't hear, and in the left corner, a Krav Maga fighter, because that doesn't work in the octagon. It just doesn't. I love Krav Maga. I think Krav is awesome. And I've got several of my good friends taking it because it's a great way to get out of a problem. And that, you know, those kind of arts like you're talking about are great ways to get out of problems. It's just, if you throw yourself in an octagon, you're going to get killed. So Aikido is a beautiful art. Doesn't work in the octagon. Doesn't work in combat situations. The things that work, we know, are jiu-jitsu and boxing and wrestling, and, you know, all the old school martial arts kind of, and really hard to do. But yeah, you do get hurt if you throw an elbow at your face and break your nose. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
It depends how you do it, but this isn't a traditional martial art. It's actually a military art. It's meant to be.
It's like Krav, right?
It's very different in its style. I mean, there's another one.
Krav's a military art. Krav is a military art.
Yeah, and the style is different. They're both military.
I'd love to see videos. I mean, I mean, I'm just fascinated by all that stuff. But you know, if not to get, I don't promise. Last thing I'll say on martial arts, but there's these videos of a lot of these kung fu guys, the guys that are there, or these esoteric guys that are like, you can't touch me because of energy and ki and chi and all this stuff. And there's like tons of these videos out there, and they're horrible to watch because these guys they really believe this stuff. And they'll let just one guy who's just a boxer or just a normal, you know, like a normal MMA practitioner come in and fight. And they invite the fights and they get murdered. They get murked because that shit doesn't work. It's like, it just doesn't work in the real world. So, but yeah, that's why I love Krav, because Krav doesn't work in the octagon because there's way too much going on, but it works in the real world to get you out of a situation. So for any ladies on the call, it's a good thing to study because it's kind of 2 and 3 strike things and get out. But
Krav Maga?
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
It's an Israeli. That's why I brought it up to Dobby. He's going to know more about it than I do. Well, I mean, I know quite a bit about it just because I've been into that for a long time. But I took Krav for a while, and it's like, you know, it's I like it, you know, katas and nothing like that, you know, but yeah, it's got its place. It's just that it's interesting that specificity. We're going to talk specificity today. Okay, I'm going to loop this into copy here, because specificity, when it comes to whether it be martial arts or weightlifting or so say exercise, specificity, diet. We talked about this, and specificity when it comes to writing sales bullets. You knew how to lap this around here somewhere. I'm going to show you some examples of specificity and how important specificity is in copy. It's almost impossible to be too specific when you're writing bullets, when you're writing promises, when you're writing, you know, copy in general needs to be, you know, specific until it's not. And here's where it gets tricky. Here's where the little kung fu moves comes in. Until it's not time to be specific, and then you want to be really, really vague. And we're going to talk a little bit about this because I was reading some of your bullets, and some of you guys did great. And some of you guys were doing the bullets correctly grammatically and leaving out some of the elements that make a bullet really appealing. And you're wondering, like, why am I focused on sales bullets and stuff like that? You're going to see. These are the things that really make a page pop after you do the rapport building and empathy structures and all that we've already done. Okay. So we've done that. And now we're getting to the selling point of things. Without knowing how to do this, it's going to stifle the letter. If the bullets read like, you know, you'll be able to do this, this, and this, that's not a bullet. That's a benefit. And you need those. You need those. But I'm going to talk about bullets. I'm going to give you like a really weird bullet that's a takeoff of a Gary Halbert bullet and give you just things to think about. There's no homework assignment, guys. Just finish the stuff I gave you because I knew there's no way I'm going to give you anything else. But please do try to finish the stuff I gave you. It's hard. And I know it's going to be the hardest one for sure. But it's also going to be one that's going to serve you for years to come because, you know, again, you're going to have this software for the rest of your careers. And the more you fill it out, the more you'll be able to use it for customers. And then you'll start clicking buttons and going, oh, wow, that's so much easier than having to do this all the time from scratch.
Can I give you some feedback on Copy Pro?
Yeah, sure. Well, give me 2 seconds and you can, yes, go.
I just find it a little clunky to enter the different sections because not everything relates to something else. And I try to keep them connected. Like if I enter, how do I put this? If I enter one idea under a primary complaint, like sometimes I want the primary solutions to match up with those primary complaints.
Yeah.
And then I basically just feel like I'm entering random variables and I lose track of the names or what I had in mind back then.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if there was a structure that kept things together. And then you can just share things across.
There is.
Okay.
And I talk about it in the training videos. But let me tell you why we did it this way. Well, one was utilitarian and had to be done that way. And I won't bore you with the software details of it. The second one though was psychological on my part is because I wanted customers, not copywriters, but customers to think of things outside of context. Just make this sentence work in the structure over here. It's like it's like this. Okay, I'm gonna go. Sorry, guys. Back to martial arts for a second. Wax on, wax off, wax. You know
I'm always happy to hear about martial arts. So.
Okay, so wax on, wax off. Remember Karate Kid. Anyone raise their head that doesn't know what I'm talking about? Okay, so that was completely out of context of, okay, now block my kick, you know. And of course, it wouldn't work, but that's not the point. The point is it was cute in a movie, and it's really kind of cool. Okay, so in other words, something out of context, wax on, wax off, was training people to do something. And that's what we're kind of doing in CopyPro. We're training you out of context, because when you put it in context, it can be really, really overwhelming. And more than that, it can start sounding repetitive. So the reason why we have people fill in, for example, okay, if you think of 3 things in CopyPro that are really close to each other, offer benefits, sales bullets, and promises. If you look at those 3 things in CopyPro, they're really close to each other. And even you could even make an argument the USP is kind of close to that. So they're all close. If I put them all together, every one of them would sound the same, because you'd be looking at every other one of them.
Yeah.
You start sounding it, but if they're all separate, you forgot what you wrote on that other panel, and you're going to write it slightly differently. And that's how humans speak. So I'm not going to say the same thing over and over and over and over again. So that's the reason why we did it. We're going to make things clunky. I don't want it to be too smooth ever for copywriters. For customers, it's a different story. So if you do want a smoother experience of it, Davi, the way to do that is to generate a blank sales letter, like generate something that's going to use tons of fields and fill it in context, and you'll see it completely in context that way.
I know that's what I need to do.
Yeah, well, so it does help. It does help, and
Yeah.
there's a reason I'm asking you guys to actually do that, because I want you to learn it out of context, then put it in context. This is the wax on, wax off. Now it's time to block a punch, right? So that's what that was in the mind. That's how we developed it. That's how that's how it was developed, and it's worked for you know, it's hard, but then the payoff is massive. So yeah, so do it out of context. Learn it. Just focus on that one sentence. And the other thing is, like, that comes from some of my learning of how, and Davi might be totally different than me, and that's totally cool. We're all different, right? How I learned something is I need to learn it out of context and then to put it in context. So Derek, you still on the call?
Yep.
Okay. Do you play guitar?
Yep.
Okay. So you know when you're learning a lick and you have to just slow it down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you slow it down, like let's say the lick's played at 180 and you have to slow it down to like 100, it doesn't sound anything like the lick. And there, you could slow it down to the point where you can't even tell what you're playing, right? And when I was teaching bass, I was doing it part-time just for fun, but I would have people slow things down to the point where it'd be hard to even tell that they were playing something. I mean, that they were playing something that made any sense. So, so it's a similar thing to what we're talking about here is, you know, like you slow down a major scale, you can still hear a major scale, but if you slow down a lick, like I was learning a lick from an old Aerosmith song the other night that Joe plays on a 6-string bass. And when it was slowed down enough, it didn't sound like the song at all. In fact, it still didn't sound like the song until I played it over top of the song. So it's the same thing here. We're slowing down the licks. I'm using different metaphors, mixing metaphors. Slowing down the licks so the wax on, wax off, so that you guys can see this is how this is the context of it. Now we'll speed it up. And when you speed it up, it's in a sales letter. And then when you see it in a sales letter, it's like, oh, I'll get the context of it. But for me, and maybe this is just me, or maybe it's me and a lot of other people and not others, I learn better that way. I learn, if I have to force it in context too soon, I'll play it sloppily. So, and by the way, I do that all the time because I want to learn something now, you know. I'll hear a lick and I'll try to figure it out, and I'll try to play it right at the tempo of the song. And it's like, blah, you know that feeling right there. Surely you know that feeling. All musicians know that feeling. It's like, you know, it's like string garbling, crossing strings, and it's like we string players' nightmares is crossing strings, and you're trying to play it. You know, oh, here's this killer Rush tune. I can play it at tempo. Oh no, I can't. But slow it down and just keep playing, and you know, take that one little chop. Take 4 bars of something and play 4 bars, and then it doesn't sound anything like the song, right? But what we're doing, Davi, is you're taking 4 bars. You know, I want you to figure out these 4 bars because you're going to play those 4 bars a little bit differently when you start playing the whole lick together. So that's my pitch for the way we did CopyPro. I don't think there is a perfect solution, but I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, the closest I think is what Leanne was saying of just writing things on a doc on the side to keep things organized.
Yeah. Oh, you know, so on that note, I didn't want to like, by the way, betray the spirit of what you're saying. We actually are making, especially for Copy Pro 2 and Copy Pro Academy, we're making things, we're going to create a holistic list of fields and stuff so you can see things in context to each other. We do want you to have that. We just want to train people without it. So you'll have that in CP2 for sure. But man, this was a great conversation. I'm glad you guys were entertaining enough and bold enough to go into dark places, not dark places called anime and binge watching television. But thanks for sharing all that stuff, guys. It was fun conversation. Let's have another one. I'm going to pop on over to the main call and I will see you guys over there. Cool.
Cool.
Thanks.
Cool.